Okay, so let's try to get through this idea of sticky wages and how it affects the economy. So it is true, workers' pay does change over time. However, the idea is it responds slower than the whole general economy. And that has a big impact on output in the economy. So the best way to try to explain this is with an example. So here's an example of a firm. Let's look at their total revenue and their total cost. So here you go, total revenue, total cost, and let's say you're making a total revenue of $100. See, ta-da, right there, $100. Now, whenever you're making something, of course, you have costs, right? And let's break those costs down into fixed costs and variable costs. So let's look at your fixed costs. Let's say they're $30, your cost of capital and land, things like that. So fixed cost right there, it's $30, it doesn't change. Now, whenever you're producing something, you need workers to produce it, right? So let's hire some workers. They're going to call it variable cost. So these two workers, we're going to give them each $25 for a total of $50. So there's your variable cost that can change, an important idea here. So your total cost is $80, giving you a total revenue of $100, total cost of $80, giving you a total profit of $20. Good for you, wonderful, everything's fine. There's your economy. Now, let's say the economy has gotten worse for some reason. And now your total revenue, it's not 100, but now your total revenue is decreased to 70. So you have a big problem here because 70 minus 80 equals -10. You as a firm, you're losing money. Oh no, so sad. How can we fix this? Well, the two theories, the ideas look like this, side by side. The classical theory, they say, look, in the long run, prices will adjust. Prices will change. The only thing that's going to change output is, well, factors of production. Wages are just simply a different factor of production. Just give them a different amount of money and everything will be fine. No big deal. You just simply pay your workers less. No big deal. Pay your workers less. You get less money. They get less money. Everybody's a little bit unhappy about that, but you're still having the same amount of output. Well, the sticky wage theory, they look at this and say, well, look, in the short run, these nominal variables, they do affect things. Not like you think how they don't affect, Mr. Classical guys. Workers, they will respond to change, definitely. But workers, they don't want to get paid less money. Who wants to get paid less money? If my boss came to me and said, sorry, you're going to get paid less money, I'm going to say, you know what, boss? Go to hell. I'm going to go find another job. So that boss is left with two choices. Either pay everybody less money or fire one of the workers. So in this idea of classical theory, putting that on here, you just simply reduce the wages from $25 to $15 each. So you say, hey guys, look, we're having a bad year. We're only making $7 in profits. I'm going to pay you each less money. I pay you each less money. Now my costs are only $60, and I can still stay in business making $10. So it's fine for me. I can make money, and so can you. And the idea here is the amount of nominal money that's changed doesn't change the output. You still have the same number of workers and the same number of output. You just simply have lower prices. That's the idea in the long run. However, in the short run here, these ideas say, no, look, wages, they're sticky. You don't simply want to get paid less. If my boss came to me and said, I'm going to pay you less money, I might argue that. I might not like that. So the boss is only left with one other choice. Well, one of you guys doesn't have to get fired. I can't keep both of you. So the boss fires one of the workers. So at his revenue of $70, now he can still stay in business because his costs are only $55. Great for him. He can stay in business. But one worker's now lost a job. Now imagine if this happens everywhere, all over the economy. Every single employer has to fire somebody so they can stay in business, which means now that's one less worker who doesn't have any money. That's one less worker who's not producing anything. That's one less worker that's not buying anything. And you can see now the economy has definitely gotten worse. That's an issue here. So these two theories, trying to recap them, put them together, the classical theory, they say, look, all you have to do is make your workers, make them work the same amount, just pay them less money. But the sticky wages, these ideas say, no, today the economy is much more difficult and much more complicated. You're not going to get paid less. We have trade unions that come in and say, no, we have government policy. We have minimum wages. The government says you're not allowed to pay people less money. So this natural change doesn't happen in the long run. So some workers, they just simply end up losing their money. So in the old days, in the classical days, people were farmers. So if the farms had a good year that year, great, you got paid more money. If the farms had a bad year that year, oh, well, you got paid less money. But today, the economy is much more complicated. Things are much more difficult, and People don't want to get paid less money, so you end up having to fire a worker. You fire one worker, that worker is no longer producing. It's going to change output. Imagine if that happens everywhere. So let's recap and kind of summarize all of that. So let's say the economy is doing bad and market prices are going down. Workers do want to get paid the same amount as they were before, even with a price decrease. So you don't really want to do the same amount of work for less money, do you? Businesses, they're not making as much money. They're going to supply less because of less profits. So they're going to have to go to the workers and say, sorry, you're going to have to get paid less money. Well, if the wages are sticky, then the business only has the other option of saying, well, okay, fine. One of you guys are just going to have to lose your job. Now imagine that happens all over the economy. So definitely, it is true that nominal variables can affect the real variables in the short run. And this helps explain why the agri-supply curve has this slope. Now that works in the going down, but it also works going up. So imagine the other way. Let's say wages are sticky and prices are going up for any reason. There's more profits. Do workers always know that your company is getting more profits? Are the employees always giving that money directly to the workers? Not necessarily, usually not. I think of myself as my own job as a teacher. I have a contract that I make every year to get paid a certain amount of money. If my employer, my school, suddenly makes less money, and they come to me and say, sorry, teacher, but you're going to have to work just as hard as before, but we're only going to pay you half as much because we're not making a lot of profit. I'm going to say, sorry, goodbye, I'm going to go find another job. And so what they end up having to do is fire some of the workers. But what if it was the other way around? What if the school suddenly got a lot more money? And are they going to come to me and say, wow, we got more money, we're going to pay you more? No, I have a contract. I'm going to get paid the same amount whether the school makes more money or less money. That's the issue. Wages are sticky. Now, think about that a little bit farther from the entrepreneur side. Wages are just simply another factor of production, a payment for that. So imagine if it was land. And you're suddenly making a lot more money. Profits are going up. Do you want to sell more things? Sure. If land prices are also not going up, you're making more profit. Let's go get some more land to make more stuff. What if the capital prices are not going up and the market prices are going up? I'm getting more profit. Of course I want to do more of this. I'll buy more capital at the same price. Same thing with wages. If prices in the economy are going up and I'm making more profit, that doesn't mean I have to pay those workers more money, but I can hire more workers at the same price. And if I hire more workers, those workers make more output. It changes the amount of output. So yes, in the short run, definitely nominal variables will affect the real variables. And it helps explain why the curve goes up and why the curve can go down in both cases. In very, very extreme cases, this is what Keynes tried to argue is why we can sometimes get stuck in a situation like this. So you have this situation here, you have Y. The only way you're going to change Y is by changing the economy, making it improve. And one of the big ways to change Y is by changing prices over here. But if prices are sticky, prices can't change, you're not going to be able to change Y. And so he tried to argue this is one way that we get stuck in this really bad economy forever because wages can't change, things can adjust in the short run, and if we aren't willing to change, well then guess what? You're not going to have any change and you could get stuck in a bad position for a long time. Hence the need for government or some other actor to change things.
Coca-Cola. Crisp, refreshing, and just to be clear, not an NPR corporate sponsor. We swear they didn't pay us. It's also a bizarre economics aberration.
So in a similar way, sticky wages can also apply to other factors of production. Land prices can be sticky. Capital prices can be sticky. So all these factors of production prices can be sticky, which means when prices go up, more profit is made for the business and they can adjust their supply. You can take that same idea and apply it to the prices in the economy itself. Prices are often sticky. We don't have perfect information. We don't understand everything. And we're talking about all the markets in the world, not just a market here and a market there, but all the markets put together. Not all of them are the same or can adjust at the same rate. This idea is called menu costs. It's the cost to adjust your prices. It takes information. It takes transactions. It's difficult to change your prices sometimes. You have a contract. Some companies can adjust easily when there's inflation. Some cannot. Now, the word menu costs, it comes from this economist a long time ago. He was being a little cheeky about it. And he walked in a restaurant one day and it kind of dawned on him. He looks at a restaurant, you might see a menu in a restaurant that looks something like this, or a menu like this. Now this menu, it's very easy to change the numbers. You can look at that numbers. You can just pop a number on, pop a number off. It would be very easy to adjust. So if inflation adjusts, so can you also change your prices. Or other kinds of restaurants, it's very difficult to adjust their prices. They print a whole menu. And if you need to adjust just one or two prices, or even all the prices, you have to print a whole new menu. That is much more expensive to adjust. Now, the idea is not just for restaurants, but take that idea and apply it to all the transaction costs that happen in an economy. Some markets can change easy, some cannot change easy. That's the idea. You can just use the idea of menus to use that. So we have this vocabulary word now, menu cost. So here's an example of using this. Let's say some firms can adjust prices, some firms cannot. So we have inflation that's happening, and we have two companies here. One firm that has menu costs and one firm that does not have menu costs. Remember, menu costs is the cost of adjusting your price. So let's say in the economy, both these guys, they sell their stuff. They have boxes. They're just selling for $50 each. So he produces 5 boxes, he produces 5 boxes, and here you go. There's your total revenue, $50. Now we have inflation, right? So prices are going up in the economy. It doesn't mean all the companies can adjust at the same time. So with these higher prices, a firm that has menu cost cannot raise its price so easily. It's expensive to raise their price, it's difficult to raise their price. They don't know how to raise their price the right amount, or they have some kind of contract which doesn't allow them to change their price. While this other firm on the other side, they can see, wow, the prices are going up. I can increase my prices relatively quickly. So in this situation, they're both making the normal amount of things. One is now charging a higher price, one is now charging a lower price, but the prices of everything in the economy is going up at the same time. This has an impact on the outcome that's going to happen to these two companies. So if you're a buyer, you just know prices are going up. You don't know anything about menu costs or understand any of this stuff. You just want to buy the cheapest possible thing, right? So you're a customer. You look at these two things and you said, do you want to buy the one that's $50 or the one that's $70? That's a stupid question. Of course you want to buy the one that's $50, right? So what ends up happening is you want to buy more of these things. And these sellers at the same time, they don't really know everything that's going on. It's a very difficult thing. All they know is they have more customers coming. Hey, more customers coming, I'm making more money, I'm willing to sell more of their things. Notice the real output now can change. So this firm's supply is increasing. Prices are, in fact, changing the real variables that are happening in the economy. In the long run, it should adjust. But in the short run, that adjustment takes time and does adjust the real variables. So the firm's demand here increases. They buy more things. At some point, this firm will raise its prices and things will go back to normal. But in the short run, things will change. This will have more buyers. He doesn't know what's happening. He just simply knows himself. He just knows that he's having more customers. He's happy to sell more things. So total prices are rising in the market here, definitely. But some are able to raise prices before others. And this will change output. So higher prices in the economy are associated with changing Y. What is Y? What is Y? Why is output? It's about changing Y. So kind of summarizing that one more time, let's say, for example, the central bank decides to print a bunch of money. So suddenly there's a whole bunch of more money, more green nominal money in the money supply, or pink, whatever color money that your country uses. In the long run, it does mean, yes, prices will just simply go up. But in the short run, this will have an impact on people's behavior. In the short run, if you're a company without menu costs, you don't have to worry about this opportunity cost of changing prices. You'll simply change your prices. For you, it's pretty easy. But other firms that do have menu costs, they can't change their prices. They want to, maybe they can, maybe they don't understand what's happening. I mean, do you know the inflation rate right now? Does everybody always know the inflation rate? It's difficult to know. Usually you don't know until after it's happened, which means their prices are going to be lower compared to other people's prices, and that will change the amount of output they have. So that means people might buy more of their stuff. And that's a signal to them. They're making more money. They'll go ahead and sell more stuff and hire more workers and increase the amount of output that they have. Now, in the long run, they'll realize, oh no, I'm actually not making more profit because everything I have to buy is also more expensive. But again, that process takes a long time. So in the long run, you'll adjust back to where you were. But in the short run, the amount of money that you have or the prices will definitely affect the outcome and the output for some people. For some people, it might affect it a lot. For some people, it might affect it less. Imagine elasticity, like we talked about before. So yes, nominal variables definitely can affect real variables in the short run.